A pleasant good morning to everyone and welcome once again to another edition of the Carlos Brown Show, heard exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com. Today's guest menu looks like this. It's coaches galore. Up first, he runs the FAMU football program, Coach Willie Simmons. He'll join me in hour number one talking FAMU football, Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference football, and also get his thoughts on coming into the conference, the Southwestern Athletic Conference. Should be an interesting conversation with Coach Willie Simmons. Following Coach Simmons in hour number two, he's Coach Bruce Eugene. Yes, the Coach Bruce Eugene. Most of you knew him as Bruce Eugene, quarterback of the Grambling State Tigers. Well, he joins me in hour number two. We're going to visit with him, conversation on his recruitment to Grambling State University, his career, what he's doing now, and of course, if you can remember that 2003 Bayou Classic. Wow, what a game. What a game. Over 1,000 yards total offense. We'll visit with Coach Bruce Eugene. And then last but not least, Coach Van Pettaway. He joins me in hour number two, talking basketball and, of course, sports. Here's what's trending on the Carlos Brown Show. The SWAC announces a partnership with Academy Sports and Outdoors, and if you go on swag.org, a nice video of the commissioner, Dr. McClellan, talking about the partnership. So the SWAC in the news once again. Also, a very interesting situation. The CIAA announced its plans for winter and spring athletic competition. They're going to delay the start of their winter season, winter sports, and also they're going to be looking at football. It's opted not to sponsor championship seasons for football, as well as men's and women's cross country during the 2021 athletic year. So basically, they're looking at, hey, this pandemic, student athletes, they are foremost, most important. So, CIAA announced its plans for winter and spring athletic competition. I'm going to give you a quote quickly, and we'll come back to it. Delaying the start of our winter season acts in the best interest of our student athletes, coaches, and support staff, as it ensures proper resocialization for all parties while affording our membership the opportunity to implement recommended health and safety measures prior to competition. That was a quote from CIAA Commissioner Jackie McWilliams. Although unfortunate and unprecedented circumstances this year will prohibit athletic seasons for some, we remain committed to bolstering opportunities that amplify the experiences of our student athletes, member institutions, partners, and fans. And then also, another great player in Major League Baseball, Bob Gibson, passed away this week. That's what's trending on today's Carlos Brown Show. You can participate in the show a couple of ways. Email me at the Carlos Brown Show at gmail.com. Also, the Carlos Brown Show Facebook Messenger page is open. Also on all social media platforms, franchise_show on Twitter. It's a way to contact me as well. And I guess we'll throw out the question, and you can participate in the question as far as the 2021 spring season in all sports. Are you excited? Or will you be excited about your institution, the team that you follow in the competition, and then also 2021 football season? how excited are you going to be about football season? And of course, two institutions coming into the conference, it should be a lot of fun. Expectations, competition, bringing your A game. Some of the thoughts that have been talked about over the past few weeks. So you just hope everything is going to go well as far as this pandemic and things in place where just hopefully you can have competition going on. Dr. Prince, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, sir. How are you this morning?
I'm doing fine. Crisp, cool weather here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Crisp and cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
And you know, a lot of people are still trying to settle in. October 3rd, you would be in what? And under normal circumstance?
Week
Football.
4, 5, something like that.
Yeah, and boy, this weather here, cool, crisp, just been beautiful. Just been no humidity. Man, look, you got to take advantage of that.
Make you want to go out there and hit the sled, man?
Yeah, well, put it this way. You're thinking about all the great tailgating that's going on. You know, just an array of specialty foods here. And then you're in week 3 and week 4 of the season, somewhere along in that line. 5. October's always been a make it or break it month in the conference. So I know people are still trying to get accustomed of not having this as of right now, but you just got to look forward. Keep looking forward.
That's right.
And hopefully, it'll be better days ahead. But it has been an interesting sports session, information.
No doubt.
In spite of everything that's not happening, there's still always something happening.
It's going to always be something happening because you're dealing with people. And anytime you're dealing with people, always expect the unexpected. And when you talk about the football season, I'm one of those, it's like the glass is half empty. I'm appreciative of the sports that are around right now. But because my sport, my conference is not active, it seems mute right now. I know it's around, but, you watch a couple of them, but you don't have, at least I don't have the vigor and interest that I would if my conference was involved.
Yeah, I can understand that because you're watching some football, last couple of Saturdays, but it's just, it's just different.
Right.
And
I'm not regretting that we're not playing neither. That I don't want anybody to misunderstand what I'm saying. I think we did the right thing, and I'll stand by that. But
yes.
It's just that it's just like it's here, but is it really here?
Yeah.
I guess you know what it'd be like? This is what it would be like. It's like watching maybe your ex-wife getting remarried.
Wow.
That's how I kind of summarize it.
Yeah, well, I can understand that. When you think of what you could be doing,
right?
Again, back to tailgating, and then you're doing the show and you're sitting here analyzing what went wrong, what went right. You give the statistical story, you give your analysis, and then you have someone who comes on can give their analysis, and it's going to be interesting because it's going to be a lot of competition. Of course, when I talked to Coach Willie Simmons in a little bit, very confident guy, very appreciative of him speaking his mind, and they're coming in the conference. We've talked about not just football, baseball, basketball. Bethune-Cookman, who I am going to say again, don't sleep on them.
Right, right.
coming into the Southwestern Athletic Conference in the Eastern Division. I was looking up their basketball program yesterday, as I'm scheduled soon to interview Coach Lewis, the women's basketball coach, at Bethune-Cookman. Wow. Very impressive. Now, I know people are going to compare, well, wait a minute, just go look up their schedule for last season and look at some of the teams they played out of their conference and then within conference. It's a discussion that you can have. I wanted to say debate, but a discussion.
Well,
conversation.
Debate, tomato. Yeah. What's the difference?
Well, crayfish and crawfish. How dare someone say crayfish in Louisiana?
Right. Well, you can definitely tell they're not from Louisiana, right?
Yeah. And they're like, what are you talking about? But if you just kind of look at their schedule and their team, they're well coached. That's a good discussion to have.
Yes.
How well will they do? So, as you can tell, I'm just looking forward to the competition. And as usual, if you don't bring your A game, you won't have any off week, no matter what sport you're coaching.
Right. Obviously, because it just got a little bit stiffer.
Yeah, I would agree. But if you want to get into the discussion and talk to me, I see one of my favorite listeners. I'm sure he's going to weigh in on several topics. And here we go. I'll just use the first name. Appreciate you, Jack. The two new institutions you are talking about won't physically play in the conferences of 2021-22 football sports season, not the 2021 season. Well, if I said that, I was in error, but they will come in 2021. But it's a discussion that you could have.
Well, they won't
how successful they're going to be in.
They won't play in the spring schedule. They'll play in the fall schedule, but it'll still be technically 2021.
Yeah, because 2020 football just if we're going to have is pushed back to the spring.
Right.
And FAMU, and I text Coach Simmons early this morning, they are participating in the MEAC spring season. Mm-hmm. He did tell me that. So let me back up. When they come into the conference, 2021, and again, if I said earlier than that, I was in error. FAMU and Bethune-Cookman. I can't wait.
But you're going to have to wait, man.
Well, you know what I mean. I can't wait till it happens. It's
going to be like a kid sitting up on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, because I really think it's going to put people on notice.
Well, you got a lot of factors that are going to be whirling around it, in particular in the East. The West is going to have its unique angle, but the East is pretty much wide open because when we look on paper, we can go with the assumption of who would be projected to be the big dog or the top dog in the East. But then when you have some of the recent additions that happen, definitely you're going to get a bigger bark from a particular team out of the East. But will they have the necessarily bite, in particular coming out their first year? And how long before that bark does turn to a bite with this particular team out of the East? And then with the addition of the East, will these guys be able to just come in and set the standards, or will they have to make some adjustments as well? So it's a lot of mysteries coming out of the East.
Multi-factors. You will have that. At the end of the day, they'll be judged on, what do you think?
Wins and losses. I think that would be a safe assumption.
Mm-hmm. And when you look at the competition, like Jack said, Southern women basketball has lost to both Bethune-Cookman University and FAMU women within the last 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
see.
And Prairie View, for on the record, has beaten Bethune-Cookman within the last 3 years too. So
In women's basketball?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. At Prairie View.
Okay. So that's a good thing. So
Yes,
with that
sir.
being said, you look for the competition.
Right.
I don't know if you were trying to throw an angle in there.
No, I wasn't trying to throw. Since
Prairie
we're
View
dropping
winning,
tidbits, we're just dropping tidbits. That's all.
Yeah, it's good about tidbits.
Yeah, informational tidbits.
Because I think Coach Simmons, hopefully he'll drop a couple of tidbits.
I'm pretty sure he will
on his football program.
I'm pretty sure he will.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure he's going to come in and going to have his football program and team very competitive. As one of my guests last week basically said that pretty much the way he's talking, just go ahead and crown him and give it to him already.
They are,
but I know Coach Simmons is not going to fall for that.
Oh, he's not going to fall for the banana in the tailpipe.
No, but he's going to have his team ready.
Yeah.
And that's the bottom line. And just kind of, talking to different people on social media, everybody's confident about their football team, their program. They want to see where they're going to stack up at.
Always confident when there's no games been played yet. Then when you get out there and the rubber meets the road, then we got a whole dose of reality.
Yeah, some programs more than others.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Some are very close or have been close. Didn't quite just get there. Then you have, one program, Alcorn State. They're confident. They've done well, and they should feel confident.
When we get some time, I wanna ask you a question. Did show last Sunday where we went through the conference and we gave letter grades. We gave letter grades of the last 5 years of work put in by A, the football programs, and then B, the overall athletic programs. And I would love to get your assessment on how you rate the conference schools.
I didn't do it last week.
Did you do it last week? Did we go through and did you give all your letter grades last week? I
thought I did.
I don't know.
I thought I did.
Old, man. I hadn't had my coffee yet, so I can't remember.
But and I want to say we had some listeners to weigh in on that as well. But if not, maybe.
Okay.
Still got plenty of time.
Oh, sure.
It's not like they're playing the next couple of weeks, but very soon. Well, I'm sure they're working out already. With the other sports as well. A listener says, Carlos, I'm cautiously optimistic about the spring sports season if we can take advantage of it. I understand.
When they say take advantage of it, or they're saying by having the opportunity of being one of the few programs or conferences to be playing football in the spring, is that what they mean when they say that?
I don't know.
Was that Jack?
I actually thought, and let's read it again. Carlos, I am cautiously optimistic about the spring sports season if we can take advantage of it. I thought maybe he'll text back what he actually means, but my interpretation of that could also be about the way the pandemic is going. Will it be an opportunity to play if everyone does what they're supposed to do as far as getting better with it?
Well, the opportunity will definitely be there to present itself. But once again, you're going to have some of the same challenges that you have right now. And hopefully things will be a little bit better by the time spring comes. But you still will have that option to play. Now, will we be in position? And the undercurrent of all of this is really the financial backing necessary to get your seasons off. We can go out there and play right now, but the challenge is they don't want to admit it on the surface, and I can understand that. And when I say they, I'm not just talking about the SWAC. I'm talking about majority of FCS programs. They don't have the funding to keep up with the necessary testing. Because, see, monitoring is one thing, but testing is another. You can get a thermometer and stick it on their forehead, elbows, and all that, and ask some Q&As, and they'll tell you what they want you to hear so they can get out there and play. But you have to have the actual testing, which calls denario. And that's what it's going to take. Now, there hopefully will be some type of vaccine in order, in place. And I just was reading a news clipping the other day where they say they still need a bunch of African Americans to step up to help get the results necessary to approve the vaccine.
Well, a vaccine, I think, in spite of what has been said, they're rushing to get to it. That would be a key word, or words, rushing to it. Mm-hmm. That would cause an alarm right there. We've talked to, as far as some of the director of athletics in the conference, in particular, when I talked to Dr. Scott and Coach Banks, and you talked about how expensive it is. They, meaning Southern University, they've got that covered as far as the testing. They've worked that out where it won't be such a financial strain. Now, other director of athletics, if we didn't talk to them about it, when we talk to them again, that will be something to ask them how, from a financial standpoint, have they taken care of that, which we know testing is expensive. Now, the other FCS programs, I'm sure they will have the same, concern about the testing. And even with all the testing in the world, you're still seeing cases pop up, even in the NFL.
Man, don't even
Major League Baseball.
I'm so disappointed, man. Oh, I'm so disappointed.
About what?
That my Steelers, man, won't be able to get it on. They 3-0, brother.
Yeah,
coming out the gate
strong. At least at 3-0.
Well, I understand that, but golly, see, here's where I get frustrated. Here's where I get frustrated.
It's going to happen.
No, it's going to happen. But it's just like if you had, they want to compare it to the flu, those that are saying it's a hoax. If you have a flu breakout or food poison breakout within your program, what you do, you set them aside, get them the necessary treatment, then it's the next man up, right? So don't cancel the game because some of your key players can't make it. They all professional. Y'all say the games must go forward. Let the games go forward. Roll your guys out there, and don't make no excuses. These conferences want to get back into the swing of thing. But then because a couple of their key players can't make it, we need to push the game back a week. No, you can't do that. You shouldn't be allowed to do that. You say you gung-ho, it's all in or out. Then if you're going to be all in, dagnabbit, be all in. Don't give me no excuses, because if you got, there's a difference between not feeling good and then being sick, right? Would you agree?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, if I'm sick, go get the necessary treatment. If I'm not feeling good, then guess what? You might have to do a man check and play through some things. And if I'm your number two, and going back to what Coach McNair said, we spend a lot of time working on our twos because the ones should already know the system. And if you're not prepared to have life without your ones, then who is that really on? That's not on the players. That's on the team's coaching and administrative leadership. That's just me. That's my 2-cent rag. I'm sorry.
Well, Steelers still doing well. Thanks a lot, Edwin. Edwin said Cam is out with COVID-19.
Okay. So are the Patriots going to cancel their game?
Shouldn't, unless you get 8 or 9, 10 players.
Well, if you got,
that is just the thing that you have to look at
on the roster. You got 53 guys on the roster.
Well, they'll just have to play the backup. But I guess if he's out with COVID-19, then you what are you looking at?
Okay.
How many people were exposed to it, right?
Well, that's what they're doing the contact tracing for, right? But here's my thing. I'm talking, put on the big boy britches. You knew COVID-19 was out there when you signed up to go out there and play. And you said that's a risk you want to take. This is a country, and we got the right to live the way we want to live. Okay, when you get that and you deal with it, then deal with it. Don't make fun. Don't make fun of people and rag on people because they choose to opt out. They choose to wear a mask. Okay, you big, bad, and bullish, then deal with it and keep rolling. If that's what you're going to do.
But you know what? I done got to the point now, and I got to be careful here. I wouldn't care what they think, and I understand what you're saying, how those of influence have said, look, you still need to play. It's a hoax. I understand all that. But at some point, you just got to cut that off. Don't even worry about that, what they're saying, because you are responsible for your life. If you don't want to go out there and play, you don't have to. Will you take a financial hit? Yeah. And we're talking about if you're in a professional situation, that's going to happen. Let's bring it back to the collegiate level. Southwestern Athletic Conference. Nah, they're not. Institutions are not rich, of course. Some are doing better than others. They made a decision. Hey, what's going on? We're not gonna play right now. This thing, and it still is ongoing. We don't even know the long-term effects. Of COVID-19. But they made a decision as a conference that we're not going to play right now. Looking at it from a standpoint, we'll move it to the spring. Yeah, we got other sports that are going to be going on all at the same time, hoping that it'll be a better situation. And what I like about that decision, albeit they left some room, some flexibility, that if it's not going to be okay, then you just don't play.
Right.
And then you back up or move forward, it's a better way to put it, to 2021 in the fall. And just some things you're just going to have to deal with to 2022 and beyond.
And that's what I'm saying. But let's go back to the Big Ten and the Pac-12, right? They made the conscious decision that they were going to sit out, right? They took so much heat, so much flack. And if this was any other situation, if the truth be told, they were actually bullied into coming back to compete in the fall. You can say what you want to say and wordplay how you want to wordplay. If that were you and I, and if you said you didn't want to do something and I ragged you and talked about you, social media scandaled you, and talked you back to coming in, they would have called me a bully. They'd have said Princeton bullied Brown into changing his mind. That's all that really happened. And so the question is that as soon as you get an outbreak, and all those that are pushing the envelope saying move forward, move forward, move forward, my response is, okay, we can move forward, but don't ask for grace and mercy because your depth chart is not the way you think it should be in order to compete. That's the only point I'm making it. And whether you're Republic, Democrat, green tea, wing tea, whatever it is that you are, that's fine. But don't try to have your cake and eat it too. Either you're in or you're out.
I hear you.
Does it sound like I'm fussing today?
No, it is what it is. It's your opinion on that with the big boys in the NFL.
Yeah.
But with all of the money in the world, and you can see what's happening now in the news.
Right.
The best testing, the best of everything, incidents are still happening.
Yes, sir.
Still happening. So the swag made a great decision.
What you and I need to do, man, we need to invent a time machine. where we could advance to 2021. How that sound?
Yeah, time machine.
A time machine. Or we don't want to go back to 2019 because you definitely wouldn't be happy. I wouldn't be happy. Not with the results that we got from 2019. So we need to move forward as fast as we can.
And I believe it will get better though.
It's got to get better, brother. It's got to get better.
Might have some bumps in the road. Still may have some bumps in the road. But I believe it'll get better. And on that note, take a quick time out. First time out today's show. And when I come back, Coach Willie Simmons, Florida A&M University's football coach, the guy who leads the program. He's back home. Sometimes they say you can't go back home, but he's gone back home. And he's been very successful. Should be an interesting conversation with Coach Willie Simmons. You're listening to the Carlos Brown Show on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com.
Hello, this is Alonzo Hardy Jr., the president of the SWAC Alumni Association. The SWAC Alumni Association is an organization founded on December 10, 1999, at the Sheraton Hotel in Birmingham, Alabama. Its mission is to serve as a rallying ground for individuals who have made the Southwestern Athletic Conference the illustrious conference that it is today. Its membership is open to former student athletes who played in the conference in any sport, as well as to coaches, athletic administrators, staff members, game officials, and fans. Annually, the association holds a Legends Awards and Roast Banquet or luncheon where it honors individuals with Lifetime Achievement Awards, a Chuck Prophet Wackenmaster Award, and occasionally a Distinguished Service Award. Proceeds from that event help to finance degree completion scholarships for student athletes who have exhausted their playing eligibility at SWAC universities, but who may still need an extra semester or two to complete their college studies. For more information on the SWAC Alumni Association or to get information on becoming a member, you can send correspondence to SWAC Alumni Association, 875 Miller Creek Lane, Newport News, Virginia, 23602. The email address is swacaluminassociation@yahoo.com.
Brazos Valley Schools Credit Union has 13 different locations to better serve you. Locations in Rosenberg, Missouri City, Katy, College Station, Bryan, Brenham, and Waller, Texas. For more information, you can contact them on their toll-free number, 855-391-2149. Or you can send an email to information@bvscu.org.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Carlos Brown Show, heard exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com. Gonna visit with Coach Willie Simmons. He's the CEO of the Florida A&M University football program. Coach Simmons, good morning to you, sir.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. How you guys doing?
We're doing fine here on a Saturday morning here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Coach Simmons, it's been a while since you've been to Baton Rouge, but you've been there before.
I've been there a time or two.
I understand. It's been always a pleasure to have seen you coach in the conference when you're at Prairie View in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Now, coach back home at FAMU. Coach, leading a program during a pandemic, how challenging has that been for you?
Well, it's been a challenge in the sense that for 5 months, we weren't able to have our arms around our guys. And, you know, football players are like most athletes, are individuals that run by routine. And that routine for us typically is winter conditioning, spring practice, more conditioning, a little bit of time off, and then they're back in the summer ready to go, transitioning right into fall training camp. And obviously we weren't able to do any of that because of the pandemic and our guys being forced to be in their respective homes. And so just having to get those guys back on campus, create a safe environment for them in the form of testing and contact tracing and all of those things, and being able to give them some type of physical activity, being that we're not preparing for football games this fall, has been the greatest challenge. And we're right now in the process of getting them back in that mode. And we're about 4 weeks into our off-season conditioning program, and guys are doing pretty well. We still have some quote-unquote bad habits to break that they developed over that 5-month quarantine. But they're slowly getting there, and we're looking forward to a spring season, but we can finally get on the football field again and show what we're made of and represent this great institution that we call home, which happens to be the 133rd birthday. So happy birthday to our beloved Florida A&M University.
Happy birthday. And Coach, talking to the Director of Athletics and the other coaches past couple of weeks and months, they talked about Zoom and being able to meet that way. Now that situation will be something that you'll incorporate going forward with those type of meetings. And then I'm going to follow that up with O-linemen. Do they have to have special attention to big guys to make sure during this time that they're to keep them in as best shape as they can?
Well, obviously, the offensive and defensive linemen pose the greatest challenge when they're not here with us. And mostly a skill guy. The vast majority of those guys will stay active, whether it's going outside playing basketball or going to get a jog in or going to go 7-on-7. Because skill guys like to run, and so really conditioning for them is not punishment. But for a 300-pound guy, the idea of just going out there running and jogging and doing those things, I mean, that's the worst thing in the world for those guys. So many of them came back overweight, to be perfectly honest, and out of shape. And so that's been a challenge of trying to get the weight down on those guys, get them back being flexible and preventing injury, because that's the biggest thing you worry about when a guy's overweight and he's lost some of his flexibility. He runs the risk of injury when he's down in those trenches, quote unquote, with other 300-pound guys leaning on him. So that's been a great challenge for us. But I think everyone who has gone through the pandemic shares those sentiments. And then as far as Zoom, it's been a great resource. Technology is a great thing. It allows us the opportunity to communicate with our guys even when we're not here. The only downside to Zoom is it does take away that in-person one-on-one where you can get a guy and put him on the board. Get on the board and draw up this formation, draw up this concept. Be able to look at his notes, making sure he's taking good notes. So there is a great benefit to Zooming, but there are also some challenges that it poses. And so we'll continue it as much as we need to, as much as we can. But we're all looking forward to the day that we can get a position group back in the classroom and really be able to have that true face-to-face one-on-one interaction with them. I'm
visiting with Coach Willie Simmons, head football coach at Florida A&M University. Still in the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference. I had to text you, Coach, about the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference spring football season and your team participating in that. So you're going to be, I guess, in preseason form, but kind of get your thoughts on the last hurrah, the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference spring season 2021.
Right. Well, first, let me say that we've had a long, great run in the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference. They had a bunch of championships, produced some all-conference, all-American players, professional athletes, Hall of Famers. You name it, but the academic reputation of that conference, is second to none. And when you look at programs such as Howard University, Hampton, before their exit, even North Carolina A&T now, before their exit, and the list goes on and on. There's some great academic institutions, and Florida A&M, was right there with them. And so, again, it's a bittersweet exit. Obviously, when you've been a part of a group for so long, there's a lot of history there, but when looking at the future of our athletic program and the viability of it and the opportunities that the Southwestern Athletic Conference provided, we felt there was an opportunity too good to pass up. From a revenue standpoint, we look at ticket sales, the rivalries that we'll be able to create with the likes of Southern and Jackson State, Alcorn State, Alabama State, some of those traditional schools that we played for years and years anyway. It's just a great opportunity. It cuts down on travel costs. Flying up and down the East Coast can be pretty expensive when you look at 16 sports, having to fly to D.C., to Baltimore, Dover, Delaware, Norfolk, Virginia. It can get pretty costly. And now we can get on the bus and drive 3 hours to Montgomery, 5 hours to Huntsville, 6 hours to Norman, 6 hours to Baton Rouge, Jackson State, 6 hours. And then if we got a flight to Houston, so we'll probably have a flight to Houston to play Texas Southern or Prairie View. But other than that, we can save a lot of money. We can really invest that money back into our programs for staffing, for facilities and resources that we sorely need for our student athletes. And so we felt the business model made a lot more sense to move to the Southwestern Athletic Conference. And then let alone with the vision that Dr. Charles McClellan has for the conference. It's very exciting times, and we're seeing the fruits of some of those, the fruits of that labor already.
Coach Simmons, you just talked about, from a business standpoint, the savings and how it was a good fit. How about for us recruiting? We know about Florida and the rich talent, but now getting the chance now to recruit in a rich Texas, in a Louisiana, how is that going to affect your recruiting, if any?
Well, it'll affect it some. Obviously, we're going to continue to focus our primary recruiting efforts here in the state of Florida. We're fortunate to be in one of, if not the best, states in America for football talent. And so we're going to keep our footprint right here in the state of Florida. We will continue to branch out to Atlanta and New Orleans and local places. We'll recruit the Mississippi JUCOs, obviously. But the thing it will allow us to do is tap into our large alumni base in Texas, Houston and Dallas, and New Orleans and Baton Rouge, and those areas where there are a lot of Rattlers who call us all the time about potential student athletes, but sometimes it's a little bit difficult to recruit those guys when there's not a guarantee that their family will be able to see them play. But now we can sign a guy to Houston and tell him that every year his family's going to have a chance to see him play, whether we're playing Texas Southern, in Houston or Prairie View, just north of Houston. So, being that our footprint now is more of a southeastern landscape as opposed to northeastern, it will allow us to stay in the heartland of football here in America, which is the Southeast. And so the move to the SWAC obviously does a lot for us in the recruiting area as well, just being able to stay down here in a rich area with a ton of athletic talent. Coach,
you're looking forward to, I'm sure, 2021 when you're in the Southwestern Athletic Conference. Eastern and Western Division, that was a big conversation within the blueprint of the conference. Kind of get your thoughts on the division of play. And there are those who believe that FAMU, being in the East, they're going to have a pathway to an easy time along with Bethune-Cookman. Could you talk about that?
Now, when you say those, are you speaking of Michael Prince? Because he's the only one that...
No, let me be more specific.
Hold on, man.
On social media.
How you going to throw me in this, man? I'm over here producing. I hadn't said one word. Good night, Irene.
No, Mike knows how we go back and forth. But no, we actually had that conversation a few weeks back. And to be perfectly honest, I think the conference is going to be balanced either way you look at it. What it typically happens when you talk about conference alignment, especially when you have a conference with so many rich schools in the form of football, the cream rises to the top. And so I seriously doubt, let's just say for the sake of argument, which I don't believe the argument, but let's just say for the sake of argument that the East is the weaker side because of Alcorn State, who obviously won the last 6 divisional titles, moving to the West. And if FAMU and Bethune come in as the quote unquote stronger teams, Well, I'm pretty sure that Deion Sanders at Jackson is going to find a way to up his recruiting efforts. Same thing in Montgomery down at Alabama State. Same thing in Huntsville. I mean, I don't think the team will continue to sit there and let one team dominate that side. Obviously you look at even the SEC. With Alabama. Well, what has happened in that conference? Well, Auburn has gotten a lot stronger. Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Texas A&M. I mean, those guys have really ramped up their recruiting efforts, their facility upgrades, and all of those things because they say, well, if we sit there here and do nothing, Alabama would just win it every year. Same thing in the ACC with Florida State dominated for so long. Well, Clemson had to up their game, and they did that. And now Clemson's the top dog. So now you have Miami saying they got to get their stuff together. Florida State is slowly trying to come back. They're not there yet, but they're in talks about doing so. And so I think that's what's going to happen. So even if the Jacksons are not as strong as they used to be in the past, I truly believe that those schools will try to find ways to level the playing field. But I do think it's going to be a very competitive conference. The road to the SWAC championship game will not be easy on either side. I think in the West, you still got to go through Grambling, you still got to go through Southern and Alcorn State. Prairie View has always had talent. And then you talk about Texas Southern. Well, what they're doing, Mike Prince, what are you over there doing, man? But the points that you bring up, I agree because everybody's going to have to elevate, bring their A game, and it's not going to be you can't take a week off. You're seriously not. And you got to look at it. I mean, Jackson State is still one of the toughest places to play in the SWAC, as always has been that. And Alabama State with what they've done, I mean, I think they're trending in the right direction. Cornell Manor came out of nowhere last year and had a great year. Alabama A&M, I mean, they were a couple of points away from being the representative in the East over Alcorn. So the notion that it's just going to be a cakewalk through the East, I just don't buy it. I think it's going to be a very, very balanced league. I think it's going to be a very competitive league. And I think it's what's going to make the SWAC become the premier conference in FCS football over the next few years because of those week in, week out battles where, like you said, you're not able to take a week off. Every week is going to be a knockdown drag out, filled with pageantry, filled with great football, filled with great tailgating. And last but not least, we're adding the Marching 100 and Bethune's Band, great halftime shows, which has already been that way. But now you add two of the best bands in all of college football to the fold. And it's just a great atmosphere all around. So it's a win-win for the conference. And I'm looking forward to starting 21 season and seeing how great we can make the Southwestern Athletic Conference, who we look at from a history traditional standpoint, is second to none. And by you having coached in the Southwestern Athletic Conference, I do believe it gives you a slight advantage, Coach Simmons. It's kind of knowing and knowing the other coaches in the conference. You guys have a relationship. And that leads me to ask you this, Coach. Is there any special non-conference or cross-divisional games that you and maybe Mr. Gaucher have talked about of kind of the direction you want to go as far as who you would like to see in those cross-divisional matchups? Well, obviously the first name that comes to mind is Southern. You think about the magic that we made this past season with them coming to town and us having 28,000. The anticipation of us coming to Baton Rouge this year before COVID-19 shut everything down. I mean, our fans talked about that game, I think, more than they talked about homecoming in the Florida Classic. They're so excited about going back to Baton Rouge this year. And so just the opportunity to play a school that, when you look at our footprint, the type of schools we are, the way we travel, the way we have so much pride in our athletics and academics, I think it's just a perfect marriage, So, again, the ability to play Southern every year would be amazing. Obviously, Grambling State, when you look at traditionally the two schools that, are kind of synonymous nationally with black college football, in my opinion, are FAMU and Grambling. When you look at what Eddie Robinson was able to do, Brandon Grambling over the years, and then what Jake Gaither was able to do here at Florida A&M, not taking anything away from A.W. Mumford or Marino Castle, any of those guys, because we do have a pantheon of coaches in black college football with those names. But I just think traditionally, when you look at, the the two names that are synonymous with black college football are probably Grambling and FAMU. When you talk about Grambling success in the SWAC and FAMU success in the MEAC. So the ability to play that game every year, possibly, is something to look forward to. Obviously, for me personally, the two schools that jump out at me are Alcorn State and Prairie View, because those are the two schools I was a part of in the SWAC. So, the chance to play Alcorn every year would be amazing to me. The chance to even figure out a way to play Prairie View, even though that poses some logistical challenges, being that we're 12 hours away from one another. But the ability for two high-powered, explosive offenses to play each other every year, whether it be home and home or we find a neutral site and play, I think it would be a great opportunity. So the good thing about it is there are options. And between my vice president and athletics director, Courtney Gaucher, and myself, I think we'll be able to find a game or two in the SWAC on the Western Division where they'll look forward to playing us every year, and our fans and our team will look forward to playing them every year. So we're open for suggestions, and we're not turning anyone down, because we do think that it'll be a way to generate some significant revenue for both programs and a way to continue to grow our brands, which is what we all want, being that we've merged with the Southwest Athletic Conference.
Visiting with Coach Willie Simmons, head football coach at Florida A&M University. A few more minutes with Coach Simmons. And, Coach, I got to ask you this. And you talked about Southern University. That game last year, what was that last drive? 90-something yards? 96, 95, 97? And you go and you score a touchdown. Walk us through that. Were you confident? I think I know the answer, but were you confident on getting that? That's a, and I remember saying this on the air. If you give up a 97-yard, 96, whatever it was, your drive, you don't deserve to win. But kind of walk us through that. Terrific.
Well, well, thank you. I appreciate that. We had moved the ball most of the evening, and we had a few mishaps there in the second half, a couple of turnovers, and some poor decisions by whether it be the quarterback or up front, whatever the case may be, that stalled out some drives. But we felt pretty confident that we can move the ball against their defense, not because their defense wasn't good. They were a very good defense, but we knew that we had the conference player of the year at quarterback. Ryan Stanley, a guy that ended up breaking almost every school record at FAMU passing wise. So with him and David Smith and David Manigo and some of the weapons that we had on the offensive side of the ball, we felt that if we just go out and execute, we can pretty much move the ball against anybody at our level. And so, we came out the first play. I took a huge gamble, huge risk on the -4 yard line. They called a double move. We knew that they had been kind of keying on Xavier most of the night. We'd hit him on a couple of skinny posts, single coverage, skinny posts and out routes and things of that nature. So we said, well, that corner's probably going to be aggressive. They're backed up. He'd love to get a pick six and, seal the game with a huge turnover on that side of the field. And so we double moved them, and it worked. We came out the first play and hit a 40-yard completion, and then we're able to move the ball a little bit. And, honestly, and I give credit where credit's due, once we got on, I think, the 20-yard line or whatever it is, my quarterback looked out and gave me the signal for the double move. And I said, well, hey, go with it. Sometimes you got to trust your players. And so I called it, and Xavier ran a phenomenal route, a route that went viral, to be honest. Chad Ochocinco retweeted it. I think some other NFL receivers retweeted it. It was a phenomenal route. Got the safety completely spun around, and we were able to score a touchdown on a double move there at on the last drive. So, again, it was great execution by those guys. In that situation, those saying you think players are not plays. And so I said, hey, we're going to put the ball in Ryan Stanley's hand and let him go to work. We're going to get the ball to Xavier Smith, the best receiver, in my opinion, in black college football, and one of the best in LCS football, and let him go to work. And that's what we did. Those two guys basically drove us all the way down the field and connected for a game-winning touchdown. So that in my recollection, of course, it was a year ago this time, but just looking back at that drive, that's really was my mindset: put the ball in the hands of the playmakers and let those guys do what they do. And so it was a great drive. great come from behind win at home in a great environment. I mean, electric environment. I think it was probably the best atmosphere outside of a classic game. I think that game had to have the best in-game atmosphere of any game that I've seen in a long time. And so that's what makes the FAMU Southern rivalry so great, just that pageantry. And I think you'll see that, for the foreseeable future, being that we're not conference members. So great game. Looking forward to, teaming up against Coach Odoms and his group again. And, but kudos to everybody that put that game together and made it happen, because it was definitely a game that I'll never forget.
Yeah, Coach, a listener just said he was there. That game-winning TD was heard all over Tallahassee. The fans were loud. And this is from a Southern alum that was there. And having Mr. Gaucher on, he said that game had that special look, and it was a game that he thought about when they started talking about making the move to the Southwestern Athletic Conference. And one thing I will say is this, though, Coach Simmons, talking about playing Southern every year, once again, you don't run away from the competition, and it's a good thing. Some would say, well, we don't want to play that particular school every year, and besides playing our divisional games and then tough non-conference games. But once again, it highlights people being competitive and bringing their A game.
So I tell you, y'all just throwing the East to the Wolves, boy. I mean, boy, I tell you, boy. Hey, Mike Prince, see what you started, Mike Prince.
Well,
once again, man, I'm back here producing. I hadn't said nor done anything. All I'm doing is sliding buttons and hitting brakes. And you're going to drag me into this conversation. But I'll deal with you later, brother. I'll deal with you later. It's going to be exciting to see. But that's what all the post or preseason stuff for us about: talk, hype, build up, branding. But you got to get out there and play the games when the dust settles.
And see, I really believe, Coach Simmons, that the excitement and Dr. Prince is right. It's the conversation and stuff, and you got to prove it on the playing surface. But I think everyone's going to be ready. Coach, I don't think you can just hand it to FAMU that automatically says they're going to win it. You're going to have to come out and produce on the field, because the other institution that's coming with you, they've had success, and they're going to want to be talked about in the conversation of playing for the Eastern Division Championship.
Well, no question about it. And the one thing for sure, we're going to get everyone's best shot. That goes without saying, because there's been this, call a spade a spade. There's been this beef, so to speak, between the MEAC and SWAC for a long time. And, all HBCUs are bonded by who we are, what we stand for, providing opportunities for African Americans for over 130 years in many of our cases. And so we're always going to be bonded by that. But when you talk about two conferences, I've been part of both, and I've heard the conversations in regards to both, which conference is the best and this, that, and the third. So make no mistake about it. You got 10 teams in the SWAC that are sitting there looking at two teams coming from the MEAC saying there's no way that we're going to let them walk in year one and win the championship. So again, we're going to get everyone's best shot week in and week out, regardless of who we play, if they're on the East or the West. We know obviously the last game of the season against the team down the road is going to be a knockdown drag out like it has been every year. So, again, the notion that it's going to be a cakewalk for FAMU or that other school coming into the conference, again, is just crazy. Notice I won't say their name. They don't.
Yeah, I got that.
But again, so I just think that just like Alcorn's going to get everyone's best shot on the West. You're a team that's been in the East for years. You won the East the last 6 years or so, and now you come over to the West, so they're going to get the West's best shot every time they play them. So that's the way competitors work. I mean, that's our mindset. When someone comes to your house and they've been beating you on your video game online, for 1,000 years or whatever. Did they come to your house and play it, not online but in person? Oh, you're gonna wrap it up the competition. I mean, it's gonna be a lot more at stake because they're actually in your backyard. So, Alcorn moving to the west is not gonna be a cakewalk for them. Us coming to the east is not gonna be a cakewalk for us just because Deion Sanders coming to Jackson State. It's not gonna be a cakewalk for him because he's gonna get everybody's best shot. You got a bunch of coaches who say, you know what? We understand he's primetime Deion Sanders. He's one of the greatest athletes to ever played the game, but he's gotten a head coaching job. We're gonna show, So again, there's a lot of coaches that take that mindset, and that's just a competitive spirit in all of us. And we're gonna try to infuse that within our team. So again, it's gonna make for a very, very interesting inaugural year in the SWAC for us and that other school, for Deion at Jackson State, for Alcorn in the West. So there are a million storylines that, again, for you, guys in media, y'all should have a field day because it's never going to be a dull moment. You got 1,000 stories to write about, and we're just excited to be a part of it. But I'm looking forward to that I guess September 5th, around that whatever date that is, Labor Day weekend, when we tee it up against Jackson State down in Miami Gardens.
Oh boy, you know what? Maybe I need to talk to the budget director. That might be a game that I even bring the show down there. Yeah, because, you get breaking news. A listener says, tell Coach Simmons just leave something left for the rest of us. On that note, I think I'll end this conversation.
Shots fired. I think we need to take a break now. And look here,
I do miss the SWAT trash talking. I say I miss the SWAT trash talking. That's one of the biggest things my wife and I talk about. We made the announcement. And she said, she's like, look, and she's an alum of FAMU, so she gets to go on those chat pages and alumni pages, and she said, look, y'all better get ready. Like, you think we talk trash at FAMU, but we ain't talk trash like they talking to SWAC. So we better get ourselves ready for week in, week out shots being fired. So it's coming.
Let the games and the pageantry begin. Coach Simmons, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Appreciate you coming on the Carlos Brown Show, and we'll talk again real soon. And stay safe and be safe.
You do the same. I appreciate being on, and I appreciate everything you guys do. Keep highlighting your great institutions and HBCU athletics and HBCUs as a whole. So God bless you guys. Y'all be safe, and we'll catch up soon.
Catch up soon. Take care. That was Coach Willie Simmons, head football coach of the Florida A&M University Rattlers. Boy, my first experience at a game in FAMU, wow. Southern's undefeated, and they come to Tallahassee, and it wasn't nice. It was not nice. 33-3. A lot of history between Southern, FAMU, also with FAMU and the rest of the Southwestern Athletic Conference. We'll take a time out. When I come back, speaking of history, this guy shattered records. And he's coaching now, but Coach Bruce Eugene, is a tremendous athlete. We'll visit with him next on the Carlos Brown Show, right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com.
Come on.
Laptops, MP3 players, cameras, video games, cell phones. In times like these, schools can become a shopping mall for thieves. Don't become a victim of crime. Leave your valuable stuff at home, and if you do have to bring them to school, keep them with you. Write down their serial numbers, and don't flash expensive items around. Be smart. If you have something cool, there's a good chance someone else will want it too. Keep cash and ATM cards in a secure place, and never give anyone your PIN number. And don't leave your school bag lying around where it can become a temptation to someone else. If you have something stolen, report the situation immediately. The sooner you tell someone, the better the chance you'll get it back. Visit ncpc.org to learn more about how to prevent school theft. That's ncpc.org. A message from the U.S. Department of Justice, National Crime Prevention Council, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of the Coles Brown Show, heard exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com. If you're just tuning in, you missed Coach Willie Simmons, head football coach of the Florida A&M University Rattlers, joining the Southwestern Athletic Conference very, very shortly. But guest number 2 is no stranger to the Southwestern Athletic Conference. Boy, this young man at Grambling State University as a quarterback just was electric. Just electric. And that's just one adjective that I can use, but there are more that you can use. 2000 to 2005, just outstanding quarterback for Grambling State University, set records. But I'll let him tell the story of coming to Grambling State University. I'm joined now by Coach Bruce Eugene. Coach, good morning. Welcome to the Carlos Brown Show.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you on. Coaching now. But before we get into all of that and what you're doing now, your story, your recruitment from New Orleans, Louisiana, Cohen High School to Grambling State. Talk about that story of getting to Grambling State University.
Well, it was kind of weird. Most of my family went to Grambling, was in the band. I had an uncle who played the big old bass drum that they play. Every beat, he used to pull that and play that, things like that. So I always knew about Grambling, but getting there was Coach Melvin Spears was in New Orleans recruiting the Neris L-Page, who went to Tulane University. He's from Carver High School in New Orleans. So he was down there recruiting him and trying to get him to come to Grambling. And the head coach at Carver was Jack Phillips, who was a Grambling alum. Jack told Coach Spears, if you're looking for a quarterback, you need to get cross town to Cohen High School. There's a big kid that can throw the rock. And Coach came and sat down with me, and it just so happened I was getting ready. I had a basketball game that night. So he decided to come to the game and check me out, and that he was shocked that for a big guy to move that way. And, they started the process of recruiting me to Grambling. A lot of people don't know I was going to sign with Texas Southern. I was going to sign with Texas Southern because I had a lot of my friends, Tyrone Jones, and I had Cortez Hankton, who played wide receiver. We knew each other well from growing up and playing youth against each other and stuff. So I was going to sign with them because of familiarity with them. But, when I left off my recruiting visit, they were trying to convince me to commit and everything else. And the last thing my mom said before I went on the visit was, don't sign anything, don't promise anything, So I didn't say anything, but they put in the newspaper that I committed to them, and that kind of turned me off because I never said that. And I went to Grambling. No scholarship. I went to Grambling, straight financial aid and everything else, took out loans first year, and I just went in there to work. When I got there, I was the 6th quarterback. A lot of people don't know. I was number 6. The other 5 quarterbacks were on scholarship. So that was the chip I had on my shoulder. I wanted to take somebody's money, and eventually I did.
So were you preferred walk-on or just
Oh, yeah, I was a preferred walk-on. I came into camp. I came into camp, did everything else except I didn't have no money. And every day I was in practice watching myself throw and watching the guys in front of me throw. There's no knock to them, but I'm like, how you give them money and don't give me money? You know what I'm saying? Like, that was my thought process because Coach brought in 3 freshmen. It was myself, Jarzowski Lee, and Aaron Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
So
and Coach, you you also were redshirted behind the likes of Randy Hines and what have you. So, in other words, what you're saying is you started, you got into the program and you had to work your way up, but in your mindset,
I was the best one.
You thought you were the better one. Yeah, gotcha.
In my mindset, I thought I was the best one. In terms of being a passer, absolutely. I felt like I was the best one. Now, Randy Hines was by far the most dynamic I've seen in, like, personally. Just how dynamic he was, you know, running, jumping, doing everything he did, super strong arm. You know, and I felt like I was the better quarterback. But, you know, Coach redshirted me. So, you know, I took the red shirt, but when I redshirted, I worked. I watched all the old films. You know, I did everything to put myself in position because the next year I wanted to make sure I was in the running.
Visiting with Coach Bruce Eugene, former Grambling State quarterback, and I guess you can say legend because the career you had at Grambling State University was truly outstanding. 56 touchdowns. Capped his senior season count 56 touchdowns with only 5 interceptions. You finished as Grambling State all-time passing career leader and second all-time passing career leader in the SWAC with 13,530 total passing yards, 140 total touchdowns, and 38 interceptions, and over 1,600 passing attempts, highlighted by 874 total completions. So, with that being said, you talk about making a transition now going to starting at Grambling State. Did it come easy to you because of your preparation?
Yeah, absolutely. We prepared. You know, so the one thing I got to tip my hat to Coach Melvin Spears and Coach Sammy White, Coach Doug Williams, Coach Pete Burks. Like, we prepared. You know, we watched film after film. It was many nights I was up there late and everybody was going back to their dorm. You know, that was my mindset. I wanted to know everything that everybody did. I wanted to know everything about your defense to the point where there was nothing I hadn't seen. So when I tell you we prepared. And during the game, it showed because, you know, a lot of times during the game, I would tell the defense, like, hey, you're not supposed to be right there. You're supposed to be over here because y'all getting ready to blitz. So you're supposed to be right. You're supposed to be there. You know, the guys would be like, yo, shut up, Bruce. You know, but that's how much I prepared that I knew if they took a wrong step, you know, they were done.
And that's very interesting because those teams, talking about those teams, Grambling State University, were very dominant. Even after 2005, under Coach Melvin Spears, it was like the 4th SWAC title during a 6-year time span. And even now, if you think about it, and we kind of talked yesterday, I mentioned Alcorn State because now they have done a good job of winning titles in the Southwestern Athletic Conference, but they're still that one team, even now, like back then when you played Grambling State University. Coach, how successful were you against Alcorn State when you were there?
I beat Alcorn every year except the year I got hurt, which I think 2004.
Mm-hmm.
That was the year I got hurt. I tore my ACL like midway through the, I think, second quarter. So, you know, every year with Alcorn, it was always a dogfight, but we just had too much. We always had too much.
Well, I understand they've been successful as of late, and I won't go off on a situation with the school I graduated from. They've not been successful against them. But it was interesting when I asked you how successful you guys were against Alcorn State University. But, Coach, if anybody needs to, if there's nothing to do and you want to pop in a YouTube tape, you know where I'm going with this. The 2003 Bayou Classic.
44-41.
Over 1,000 yards of total offense. Quincy Richard, the quarterback at Southern University, I had him on about a month ago. You guys had a duel, and not just from the quarterback standpoint, but that Bayou Classic. And the image after that game, you could tell it was heartfelt. You literally, and guess what? I'm just going to say this. I would have been the same way.
I'm passionate.
Yeah.
I'm passionate about what I do, how I play. You know what I'm saying? And just at that point in time, you know, when I threw the interception trying to force it in. I should have took the flat route, but I tried to force it into the curl route. And it was only because on the previous play before that, third down, and my wide receiver dropped the curl route on the other side to the right. If he catches it, it's first down, but fourth down and you're trying to make a play, I'm not even thinking throw it short and let him run. I was thinking get to the sticks, and I ended up putting it too high. There was interception, and you know, in that moment, it's just because with the buildup of the Bayou Classic, we're playing, we're not able to go to the championship. So, you know, all the emotions just came out. You know, I had no problem with all the Jaguar fans putting me on the newspaper, postcards, and everything else. I had no problem with it, because guess what? We did you the same thing. So,
yeah.
So, you know, it was no problem, but that was probably one of the most fun I had in the game. And it was shocking to us because we didn't expect Quincy Richard to play like that. You know, all the games we watched throughout the season, Richard played well, but he didn't play to that standard, that caliber. So to watch him come in and carve us up like that, I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, it was a game of big plays. My goodness, it was like if you were watching it on television or if you were there, you didn't want to miss anything. You know, not going to the concession stand. You know, if nature calls, I mean, you may miss something. That's how explosive that game was. And the Bayou Classic, enough said about it. How important were those games and the feeling just playing in them? Was it as big as people have stated it was?
Absolutely. It's just you got really, that's bragging rights. You know, state of Louisiana come half. You know, so it's bragging rights. You don't want to be that team or that person that has to hear, you know what I'm saying, what we would say, the S-Pool Jaguars beat you. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You don't want to be that team and that person. But, you know, unfortunately, you know, I've taken some L's to them. And it's crazy because we come in as the better, most complete team, better record. They always got up for us. You know, they always got up for us and played. So, you know, it's, you know, I've lost some brag a few times.
Yeah. And you had some tremendous coaches participate in that game. What's your thought? I don't know if you ever been asked this before, but what were your thoughts on Coach Pete Richardson?
Oh man, I love Pete. Pete was my guy. You know, we used to, you know, every chance when we was on the circuit for all the awards banquets and things like that, we would always talk and have conversations and everything else. And I respected Coach Pete to the fullest, man. I thought he was a stand-up guy and a great coach, like a great coach.
Yeah. Yeah, Coach Richardson, I mean, iconic. And then, you know, you talked about, you mentioned Melvin Spears. I've had a chance to have him on the show a few times, did some shows with him. And also, you know, with Doug Williams. Now, Doug, you know, he's Doug Williams. He's iconic himself. How was it playing with him? Him being a former quarterback like Spears, but are they tougher on you, or do they give you more of an edge?
A little bit of both. You know, they're going to be tough on you because they played the position. So because they played the position, you know, they expect a certain level of excellence at the position. And it gave you the edge just because, you're playing for a legend like Doug Williams. So it was like, you got to uphold the legacy that, he and all the past great quarterbacks from Grambling have set forth. So, it was a little bit of both. I enjoyed it. I kid you not. I enjoyed, working hard to get my name on that list with the greats.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed the whole competition of it. And I enjoyed playing for somebody like Coach Williams. Right now today, he'll tell you, if you ask him about me, he'll tell you I was a Philadelphia lawyer. Because he was always, I was always lobbying for something, or always had to respond to something.
Mm-hmm.
So, what I'm saying, it was great playing for him, man. I learned a lot.
If there was, you talked about, of course, the Bayou Classic, but was there one game that kind of stood out to you besides the Bayou Classic within the conference, or was it a non-conference game? Is there another moment that stands out to you?
There were a few because my friends, because like I said, Donna Carey at Alcorn, when he played quarterback, that was one of my good friends I grew up with in New Orleans playing against him in youth football.
Right.
Those were always fun games that I always remembered because we got the chance to play against each other in youth and now in college. So that was fun. Playing against Tavares, God bless the dead, man. Playing against Tavares was always fun because, again, he and I were competitors, but we were also great friends. You know what I'm saying? So that was always great. Outside the conference, I would have to say when we played Tennessee State, in Las Vegas. That was probably one because, Tennessee State, even though they're HBCU, they were in the Ohio Valley Conference, I think. So, they always were talking crazy like, oh, we're in the OVC. And, they thought they were better than us until they lined up against us. And I think I threw for about almost 400 yards, like 6 or 7 touchdowns in Vegas. It was crazy. Like, it wasn't even close. We blew their doors off.
Wow. And now Grambling State gets a chance to play them again in 2021 in Canton, Ohio.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting. Maybe you'll get a chance to
I hope
attend that game.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to attend because I got something special going down there, so I'm gonna make sure I have to be out there for that game because I need to watch it.
Yeah, and a reason to watch. We're going to get to an outstanding player that you're coaching that's committed to going to Grambling State University. But for those who may be just tuning in now, what is Coach Bruce Eugene doing right now? Where are you coaching at, and a little bit about that high school?
Well, right now I'm at Christ the King High School in Middle Village, New York. The same high school that Lamar Odom went to. Eric Barkley, Speedy Claxton. You had Jason Williams, Sue Bird, Tina Charles, Shamika Holtzclaw. So it's a well-known school for basketball. They're very dominant. So I'm there now. I'm the office coordinator, and it's a great situation. School is amazing. We spread out kids everywhere right now today. We just most recently had some kids go off to school. Every year we send in like 7 to 10 kids to school. So, it's a great situation.
New Orleans to New York City.
Absolutely.
One great city to another. Both unique in its own way.
From the Big Easy to the Big Apple.
Well said. And last but not least, and you have to help me out with the last name. You got a player that's committed to Grambling State University, number one quarterback in the state of New York, or is that New York City?
No, state of New York.
Noah
Bolton.
Bolton. Okay.
It's spelled like Bolton, Bodden, but it's Noah Bolton.
Talk about him, and this is a big deal because with everything that's going on in the country and top black athletes now listening and putting HBCUs in the mix, we could actually put this in that same category. Talk about Mr. Noah.
Man, let me tell you something. This is a special kid. You know, I get real teary-eyed and, you know what I'm saying, all emotion when you talk about him, because this is a kid that put in work. You know what I'm saying? I put him through the ringer. You know, the same way Coach Williams did me, I did it to him. You know, he never folded. He didn't quit. He worked. I was very demanding on him. He worked. You know, and to watch him now flourishing, it's beautiful to watch. You know, he's 6'4", 25 pounds, can make every throw in the book. When I tell you every throw, I'm talking every throw. Right, left hand, deep ball, hitches, out route, anything. He can make every throw. And he's a competitor. He loves the moment. He wants to be in the moment. You know, and when he made the decision to go to Grambling over the likes of Oregon, Tennessee, Georgia Tech, Kansas, and others, you know, it was shocking to me. To be honest with you, it was shocking to me because I didn't know that he was really interested in going to the HBCU. You know, and my worst fear was I didn't want him to feel like he had to go because of me.
Mm.
You know, so I didn't push it on him. You know, I talked about Grambling and I left it at that. You know, but after going through the process and, you know, taking visits and, you know, with the whole Black Lives Matter movement and everything else, when I got the phone call from him and they said, Coach, I want to go to HBCU. I want to be a trendsetter. I want to do something different. Deep down inside, I was like, yes. But on the outside, I was like, are you sure? Sure that's what you want to do? You know you got a lot of offers and everything else. And he was like, Coach, I'm sure. So once he told me that, you know, my words to him was, you know, there's only one school I'm going to allow you to go to, right? You know what I'm saying? Hey, at the quarterback position, you know, there's only one school I'm allowing you to go to now.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, we had that talk, and he said, Coach, I want to break. He said, I want to break all of your records. That's all I need to know. That's all I wanted to hear.
Wow. He has a great challenge ahead of him, but sounds like he's the type of player and person that welcomes those type of challenges. And, you know, just looking, and I'll just preface it by saying just a little bit, just a very little bit of what I saw. He's familiar. He reminds me of someone that's in the conference, and I think I mentioned this to you in our phone conversation yesterday. Akil Glass at Alabama, and it's more so because I hadn't seen a whole lot, but from the physical standpoint, statue, and he's been doing great things at Alabama A&M. So I'm sure he's talked to you about every little bit of information about Grambling State University, and somehow I think the Bayou Classic came up as well, being able to play on the stage like that.
Yeah, he you know, once we had to talk about Grambling, he dove hard into it and did his research. There's one thing I can say. You know, he dove head first into it, but like, let me find out about Grambling. And when he came back, he spoke about the Bayou Classic. He spoke about the State Fair Classic. You know, he just went to ask some questions about the games. He went on YouTube and looked up my games and everything else to watch and see the environment and how it was and everything else. Like he just started checking things out, and he came back to me and was like, "Oh, you did this," because he'll tell you, I'm not one to brag about what I did to him. You know what I'm saying? Because like I always tell him, this is not my moment. This is your moment. What I did prior to, that means nothing. You know, it's about getting you squared away and getting you ready. So I never really spend a lot of time talking about me. So when he came back, he told me, you did this. That's when we had the conversation, and now he understands. Like I always tell him, like, boy, you can't hold my jockstrap. He sit there, he sit there laughing. I'm like, no, you can't compete with me, man. Like, I run circles around you. But the young bucks always think. We always think as old heads that didn't play ball, or we played in the Stone Age and everything else. So it's like, okay, all right. Yeah, you take every time. So, a lot of times during practice now, when Noah's throwing the ball or they're not throwing the way I want, the quarterback's not throwing the way I want it, I'll be like, man, give me the rock. And I'll get out there and start throwing with him. So when I start throwing with him, that's when you see their blood starts to pump. Because now it's like coach is throwing with us. I got to out-throw coach. Tell man, look, I can do this in my sleep, man. We can go all day. You ain't going to out-throw me. So like I said, it's fun. It's fun to get out there from time to time just to show them, but that's for them. They can. I'm coaching now. I ain't getting out there playing no more. I gotta ice up. I got to ice up and everything after I'm done. You know what I'm saying?
Oh.
The rest of it. Yeah, I got to rest up. Yeah, I got to rest up and I got to sit down for a minute, before I can get going again. These kids, they throw the rock around and then it's like they go to run around some more, like, yo, go deep. And I'm like, nah, I'm dead. That's exactly.
Well, Coach Eugene, all I can tell you is like my grandmother used to tell me, just keep living. I'm older than you, and trust me. Hopefully we'll have a conversation in 20 years. I think I'll be around. But keep living. Last but not least, and speaking of coaching, where do you see Bruce Eugene? Will he coach on the collegiate level? Will he stay on the high school level? What does the future hold for Coach Bruce Eugene?
Honestly, I would like to get back on the college level. I did a year with Alcorn State when Coach Melvin Spears was the head coach. Mm-hmm. And it was fun. I enjoyed it. I want to get. I would like to get back on the college level. That's where I would like to be. I just love having the battle of the wits with defensive coordinators. So, like I said, hopefully I'll make my way back to the collegiate level. If any of you head coaches out there listening, I'm available now. But right, like I say, right now at Christ the King, I got some studs, man. I got some talent. Like Noah gets all the credit. Mm-hmm. I have a 6'3", 175-pound, 2021 receiver. He was a high jump state champion. I have a kid like Tyreek Hill, like 2021 receiver. We clocked him at a 4.43. I got a 6'5", 210 receiver. He got about 17 offers. He's a class of 2022 kid. I got a 6'3", 190-pound, 2023 defensive back. He got 15 offers. 6'3", 270, 2023 D lineman. He got like 14 offers. You know what I'm saying? Like I got dudes.
That is interesting because the first thing when I think about New York City, Brooklyn, the Bronx, what have you, it's basketball.
But see, that's what people from the outskirts, that's what they think. And I tell, like I not only tell Grandma, but I tell all the HBCUs, like they have dudes here. There's kids here. The one thing I love about New York kids play football for different reasons. You know what I'm saying? That's their way out. Mm-hmm. Like basketball in New York, basketball is big, baseball is big. You know what I'm saying? Track is big. But when you come to football is now making that step and being on the same page as the basketball, you know what I'm saying, the baseball, because of the caliber of kids we're putting out. But a lot of people take it for granted that, it's just basketball. No, I can tell you this. New York, if given the opportunity and being on the same plane as all other states, can compete with anybody. And I'm from New Orleans. I'm from the South. And I tell people time and time again, don't get me wrong. I love New Orleans is New Orleans, Louisiana. Like, I know we ball out there, but they have dudes. They have dudes here in New York that can get it done. You know what I'm saying? Like I just told you all of them kids I got, and they're young. They're young. They're 20. They're sophomores now. Some are juniors. You know, on our varsity team now, we got 50 kids. We only got 6 seniors. So, like I said, a lot of the top talent is young.
Yeah, and they're gonna get better.
They're gonna get better. I got 2 offensive linemen. All of my offensive linemen is 6'3" and taller. I have 2 6'6" offensive linemen that's class of 2022.
Well, I think there's championships galore coming your way, Coach.
That's why if I'm at Christ the King next year, I'm trying to take the team out of state. You know what I'm saying? Go to Florida, go to Georgia, go to Louisiana. Whoever wants to play, I don't care. Whoever wants to play, I want to take them on the road. You know, I got 2 kids right now battling to be the backup quarterback to Noah. I got 2 kids that are sophomores. One kid named Victor Moran, he's a righty, and I got a lefty named Christopher Howell. You know what I'm saying? So I have talent. That ain't the case. I want to take it on the road. Like, hey, if New York can't play ball, take the game with us. Beat us up. Beat us down. Show us that they can't play ball. But I can tell you this. You're going to be in a dogfight. You're going to be in a dogfight.
And that's all you can ask.
And let me tell you something. All I need is a chance. Like I said, I do all the talking for my team. They know one thing. They don't talk. They let me talk. They just play.
Very interesting. IMG, Trinity Christian. Are you listening?
I don't care. You know what I'm saying? I know the only problem I know with Texas, I think the only problem with Texas is Texas play cutting. They play college rules, so they play cutting on the second level. So in New York, I know in certain states they don't play them rules where linemen can go and cut on the edge, and you know what I'm saying. So certain states don't play the same rules. But if we playing our rules, shit, line up.
On that note, very interesting. I'm sure we could go on. We can go on and on, but Coach Bruce Eugene, I appreciate the time. I've learned some things, and it was a pleasure visiting with you. And hopefully we can get an update and talk again real soon. But I just kind of wanted the audience to know what Coach Bruce Eugene is doing now, and just kind of visit down memory lane a little bit. But for those, again, a great career at Grambling State University, 4 SWAC titles during the 6-year time span, and that 2003 Bayou Classic is one for the ages to go revisit on YouTube. But, Coach, have a blessed weekend. We appreciate you, and we'll talk again real soon.
Definitely appreciate it, man. Thank you guys for having me.
All right. Thank you. Coach Bruce Eugene joining me here on the Carlos Brown Show. Going to take a quick time out. I'm going to visit with another coach, Coach Pettaway. Well, I know I can ask him about my Miami Heat. I'm still proud of them. It doesn't look good at all. I'll visit with him about that and some other things in the world of college athletics. You're listening to the Carlos Brown Show on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com.
I present to you 3 of the fiercest subjects ever assembled in the cage of doom. First, the brain-wrenching behemoth Algebra 2, weighing in at a mind-boggling 800 pounds. Foreign languages! The multilingual international sensation capable of tossing you clear across the Atlantic. And finally, biology. More ferocious than formaldehyde, she'll dissect you 1 chromosome at a time. Who among you will step up to their challenge?
Yeah, I'll do it. Me too. I'm in. Sign me up.
Take on the tough classes now. You need them to prepare for college. Find out which classes you need at knowhowtogo.org.
Brought to you by the American Council on Education, Lumina Foundation for Education, and the Ad Council.
Be the one with courage to fight child abuse.
All Texans must find the courage to fight child abuse.
Learn the signs and symptoms and report suspected abuse to appropriate authorities.
Learn and know these warning signs.
A child who undergoes changes in behavior, appetite, or routine.
Watch for unexplained injuries, a change in academic performance, or loss of interest by a child in regular activities.
Trust your instincts. If you suspect something, do something.
If you believe a child is in an abusive situation, please call the Texas Abuse Hotline at 1-800-252-5400.
Be the one with courage. To find your local Children's Advocacy Center, visit onewithcourage.org.
On behalf of children, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One voice. It can get the point across, but it only carries so far. Add a voice. It's richer, louder, but that has limits too. Add a third voice. It's even more powerful. Add another, and another, and many, many more. And we are stronger than ever. That's the power of a community coalition. They help community groups, faith groups, civic organizations, PTAs, employers, and many others in your community organize their resources and focus them where they're needed most, like fighting to keep kids away from drugs. Ask a group that you belong to if they should belong to a community coalition. It's easy to get involved. Visit helpyourcommunity.org and they'll tell you exactly how your group can help. That's helpyourcommunity.org, because you get more when we get together. Brought to you by the Office of National Drug Control Policy and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Carlos Brown Show, heard exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com. Thanks to everyone who's been sending me text messages. Apparently, of course, we kind of talked a little bit about it. Cam Newton tests positive for COVID-19, and now the Chiefs and the Patriots game is now postponed, and we've found now Coach Van Pettaway. I thought maybe he had snuck off down into the bubble, got his test approved, and was trying to talk to the Miami Heat that are in serious trouble right now. But how you doing, Coach?
Well, I'm doing fine. Yeah, we need to talk to him. A college coach needs to help them with that zone they're trying to play, because
it's not working.
The Lakers are getting the ball in the middle every time, and that's the first thing you teach your kids. You don't let the ball in the middle.
Mm-hmm. And you know, it's interesting how they were talking about how effective it was. So maybe it was, in the Eastern Conference finals and the semifinals, and I'm sure the Lakers and they were watching, and LeBron James, a very cerebral guy as well. They were able to make the adjustment, and I'll just say this to you, Coach Pettaway. That's my team.
I know.
they exceeded my expectations. Still an outstanding season at this point, but it just doesn't look good. And I will not talk about injuries because that's part of the game. But it's a tough situation.
Yes, it is. But this is the year of the Lakers. That's all. They this year they have a better team, and it's their championship to lose.
Yeah,
because I think they're putting the best team on the floor.
Yeah. Well, if it goes the way it looks like it's going to go, we can congratulate the Lakers, but I will say this: it's still interesting with the Heat, what direction Coach Day will go going into next year and the future. It still looks bright, but they need to tinker with some things and continue to get better.
Yeah, Pat Riley, Coach Riley get it right. He'll get it right. He knows what he's doing, and I think he'll get it right.
Now, that's interesting that you said that, Coach Pettaway, because if my best friend is listening, he always talks about Pat Riley is really coaching the team. and the way you just said it made me think about it on that. You know, Spoelstra has done an outstanding job as well.
Oh yes. So
it is what it is. And kind of speaking of playing in the bubble situation, we've kind of talked in the past about the collegiate season, what to expect with playing in COVID-19, and in an arena. Looking at the data, it suggests that that's an even tougher situation than playing in the outside stadium. Have you had a chance to talk to any coaches, basketball coaches, and kind of get their feelings on this?
The administrators too, and that's going to be a big problem because being indoors, the air is not circulating, and so the virus will be stronger inside. So I see them playing in empty arenas. I don't even see them, like they're doing now. Maybe family members, and then they probably won't be able to sit together if they do that. But it's going to be very difficult. But like some of the major conferences are already talking about doing some of the tournaments, and they're going to try to create a bubble situation to do those tournaments. And that, to me, that's the only way it's going to work with the bubble, because as I think the NFL is showing us now, with these guys coming to work and then going back home, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. And then I heard you all say Cam Newton has tested positive. I didn't know that. I've been on the move since 4:30 this morning, so I've been away from civilization. But I did not know that, and that's tough because he was playing well, and the virus is gonna. We already know nothing's normal right now. I don't see how you're gonna get a true champion in college football. I don't see how you're gonna get a true champion in the NFL, because the virus is going to cause teams and players to miss games. And so these teams are not at full strength. And unless they're just going to look at it as the virus is like an injury. If they treat it like an injury, they'll move on. But evidently they're not, because they've already canceled, games. So if a player gets injured, you still play the next man up. But now nobody's up. And that's tough.
Yeah, but and you're still trying to get information on COVID-19, and I was reading this past week the scenario of, even with a vaccine, you know how you get a vaccine, a flu shot every year. This COVID-19 will probably be something you have to deal with for the rest of your lives. The possibility of just getting a shot every year. Yeah.
Right. And see, Carlos,
the vaccine.
No one knows enough about this thing, because look at the White House. If the White House can't stay protected, then none of us are safe.
Yeah. It is a tough situation. So I guess the news with the Patriots and Cam Newton, some listeners sent me a message that, let me know that's going on. But if I could, I want to go back to a bubble-like situation for collegiate basketball, and just want to be clear. You believe that it will be, have to be. It'll be played with no fans.
Right. I think that's the only way they're going to be able to do it right now, because they're allowing them to start. I think it's November 25th, right before Thanksgiving. You can play your first game, and what they're trying to do is get in some of those preseason tournaments. and they're going to be set up like a bubble. You know, they're going to take the whole hotel, put all the teams in the same spot, and not allow them to go in and out. And so, to me, that's the only way. Until they get a grasp of the virus, that's the only way for them to be able to play, to attempt to play.
Financially, what do you think the cost will be for our schools?
Oh, we can't afford it. I was talking about the other schools, the Power Five,
right?
With the preseason tournaments. HBCUs, we don't have one yet, but if we had one this year, I don't think they'd be able to afford it. Yeah, that's going to be tough. Playing our conference schedule at home, you might be able to get away with it. I say you might, because teams still have to travel in, and you don't know what the other team is doing. You take care of your home team, but you never know what the other team is doing. So it's just going to be a wait and see thing.
Yeah, because my next question was going to be, what did you think of a conference only schedule, or even if I might be getting ahead of myself, the abbreviated conference schedule?
Well, I think they should attempt to play the round robin, and do a minimum of non-conference games, 1 or 2 games, and that's it for non-conference. But I think they should play the round robin.
Yeah, of course, because we think first about football, and there will be other collegiate sports going on at the same time in the spring if they decide to go on with it. Because I don't know if you know, but the CIAA has kind of announced that they're kind of putting a hold on everything again.
So that means that as far as the spring sports.
Yeah, plans for winter and spring sports. It's kind of like I'll pull it back up again. The board of directors met and they basically has voted to delay the start of our winter sports seasons, which includes men's and women's basketball, men's and women's indoor track and field, and women's bowling. Men's and women's basketball will begin their season on January the 9th. I just want to make sure I got that right. 2021, while start dates for indoor track and field and women's bowling are still under review. So I think they're looking at the situation and trying to decide what direction are they going to go.
Right. It looks like they're just going to do a conference-only schedule for basketball.
Yeah, so I want to make sure I get that right, because I think I may have been in error talking a few minutes ago about it, but men's and women's basketball will begin their season on January the 9th.
Right, and what you're looking at then, Carlos, that makes a lot of sense, because that they can come in over the Christmas break when all the other students are gone, and it's just the basketball on campus. And that's a better situation. You don't have the regular population to be dealing with, only the athlete, the basketball player. So that might be doable. That might be doable.
Yeah, and they also said that additionally, at the recommendation of the CIAA, ADA, and with approval of the board of directors, the conference opted not to sponsor championship seasons for football as well as men's and women's cross country during the 2020-21 athletic year, while women's volleyball will proceed with 2021. And then also, to go a little further, both men's and women's basketball will feature a 16-game conference schedule while offering teams the autonomy to play up to 6 contests against non-conference opponents. All teams will adhere to a uniform COVID-19 testing and reporting policy prior to each contest. So I think you see some flexibility that they have in case they have to change.
Right. But I was shocked that they're going to allow them to do non-conference games. It sounds like they can do up to 6. So that's giving them an opportunity to play against other outside competition other than the conference opponent. That's pretty good.
So even in a non-conference, to make sure I'm clear, trying to get an idea, even with a non-conference setup, it would be, I don't know in CIAA's case, but maybe the bigger schools, setting up a place to have kind of like a doubleheader of like a semi-tournament where you can get 6 teams maybe in. I'm just using that number to play. They get tested and what have you, and they're in one spot with no fans, just personnel that helps put on the game.
Right. That would be the best scenario, but we all are just guessing right now.
Mm-hmm. I understand.
We don't know enough about the virus.
Mm-hmm.
I think you could get away doing it that way, though, Carlos.
Yeah, I understand. It's kind of speculation right now of trying to see how they're going to get this season, going. If they're going to have limited games, just the whole scenario. But speaking of that, I kind of been looking on social media, Coach. So the basketball teams are kind of, working out.
Yeah, they can start October the 15th or 16th.
Yeah,
they can do it for real. They're getting ready. They're getting real serious about it now.
Yeah, but you see footage of how some of them been working out, kind of on their own, But I guess it'll be great to get them back together and trying to see about putting on the season. And
right, because I think right now they've just been doing individual workouts that the coaches are allowed to do. But come October 15th, it's full bore, and I know a lot of them are looking forward to it.
And Coach, I was looking this week, and I happened to kind of been thinking about on the women's side how competitive. We talked about it before. Jackson State defending champions. Texas Southern, pretty doggone good. Prairie View women signed an outstanding class with some height. You've got Southern University, and then you got Bethune-Cookman. If you go and look at their record, what they did last year, it's gonna be very competitive when we get past this, this post-pandemic. Right, I can say it that way. Right. What do you think?
There's going to be a lot of energy, and it's going to be very competitive. Once Bethune and Fam is able to come into play, I just think we're going to be in for some great competition, basketball, the entire conference, all sports. I think it's going to be elevated. Number one, because the kids have not been able to perform like they want to because of the virus. So I think they'll be more dedicated. I think we'll see, just like in the bubble now, you're seeing pretty decent basketball because those guys haven't been able to play. And I think you're going to see the same thing on the collegiate level.
Well, for next week, if you can, Coach Pettaway's pre-season top 5. And what I want to do is put it this way. Go ahead and add FAMU and Bethune-Cookman in there now.
I got you.
And then you can follow it up with, on the men's side. I think it'll just be interesting, good for discussion.
That'll be fine. Yes, that's doable.
Yeah. So, Coach Pettaway, just for public record, I'm fine. My Heat are who we thought they were.
Okay.
So I'm gonna make it, Coach. I'm all right.
Well, that's good, Carlos, because I was a little concerned last night in that fourth quarter when you all made that run. I said, Lord, I wonder what Carlos is doing. I hope he's holding it together.
Yeah. Well, I'll be honest, Coach. I'm still proud of it, but boy, my NFL football team, I've got major concerns. The New Orleans Saints. Major concerns, but
so are you one of the people that thinks that maybe Drew is that coming to the end now?
Yeah, it's time.
Yep.
It's time, and reality says you need to start preparing for that. But some will just continue to live in the past. But you got to be in the present, and then you got to look forward. to the future. Yep. Coach, have a great weekend.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
And everybody be blessed and stay safe.
Be safe. Don't forget to support this show. Cash App donations are accepted. The Carlos Brown Show. And just simply support Black media. I want to thank Coach Willie Simmons, Coach Bruce Eugene, Coach Van Pettaway, Dr. Michael Prince producing today's show, and to those who listen in. We appreciate you. Until next time, next Saturday at 10 a.m. for another edition of the Carlos Brown Show, heard exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com. Stay safe, be blessed, and we'll see you next time.